All right. Again, back to the issue of the Plaza. Again, the council meets at Plaza tonight. This could be the last time they talk about this. If it goes on the ballot, they may just say, we're done with this now until the people speak, Lance. So if I may, we heard from the January, February, March 6th meeting of the city council, where they were first talking about revisiting the idea of killing the project. 3 people for that, 3 people against that. Dr. Funk the swing vote. Jason White starts making up stuff. Hey, we're broke. We can't do it. We can't do this because we don't have any money. And gets chastised by the mayor because that's not true. But that's part of his rationale by why we can't do this. We don't have any money. So his solution is to put it up to a vote, which will cost us $50,000 rather than just killing it themselves. So for not having any money, he's expecting us to scare up $50,000 for a vote. All right. Then we heard from Holly Cousins. Holly Cousins doesn't have enough information to make a qualified decision, so let's just vote to kill it because I haven't gotten the information. And Lord knows, I know you want to move forward, donors, but I don't want to move forward with your money unless I have answers to questions that I'm not seeking. I'm just voting to kill it. But I'm doing it with you in mind. Spin. All right. Assistant Mayor Dulce Gutierrez.
Some people have asked, why now? Why am I making a motion now to terminate the plaza? Yeah. And that's something that I think continues to come up because people are wondering why I didn't speak up sooner.
Yeah, why didn't you, Assistant Mayor? In a moment, you're going to hear Carmen Mendez start to tell us why. And wait till you see what happens then.
Now, my original stance was to oppose the plaza.
True.
So when we talk about keeping our word, it's not that I don't keep my word. It's that I attempted to find common ground. I really tried to work to make sure that we saved the city money on our end of the deal.
Oh, that's valid and noble. Try to save the city some money. I mean, when I was on council, we were prepared as a council to spend $7 million. So she has pared off money from the city side and put that financial burden back on the public, which public was willing and capable of handling.
And I'm still happy that I did that, because whether or not if the plaza moves forward, I was successful in negotiating to save the city $4 million. So this project is better because of the involvement of those who've been constructively critical of it.
Better? Was a $14 million project. Now it's a $12 million project. Is that a better project, or is it just a cheaper project as far as the city's concerned? If getting away for less money is the definer for what a better project is, perhaps.
We've reached the point now where we see that there are unforeseen factors.
Here we go.
Before us. Things that we had not considered when we were
what?
Speaking about the project in its initial stages.
Like what?
Things that we had not seen even when we were in the negotiation stages.
Like
Originally,
what?
This was a $7 million commitment to be matched with $7 million from the private sector. When we were going through those discussions over 2 years ago,
we
did not expect to have some of the additional obstacles that we face now today.
Okay, like what? You would think that if we were going to be told that obstacles are in the way, you might be told what those obstacles are.
And to me, I evaluated the situation and truly thought that it was a moment where I had to speak up or forever hold my peace. So,
okay, is this a make or break moment in this conversation because of obstacles that we couldn't even imagine, that I can't tell you about or haven't told you about? So what are these obstacles? The cost of running the plaza? Oh, we've been talking about that since it first came up. 2012. What are the obstacles? The Sozo project? The YMCA project? Those things were on the table back then as well. Those aren't unforeseen obstacles.
I understand and I appreciate the additional $0.6 million that were raised to top the $9 million. That is something that shows the dedication, the drive, and commitment to this project.
All right. So we've got an extra $600,000. Good job, Yakima. Way to go.
But I'm pretty certain the construction overages will also be more than what we expected.
So
there may be an offset there.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure we're going to spend over $600,000 more on the project. I can tell you that because I'm an engineer and I'm a construction expert, and I have data in front of me based on my vast research into all of this. Okay.
But also, just like the general public is a majority, is either working class or low income, I think the general public also understands that when money is tight, you have to prioritize. You have to choose what you will decide to continue to spend money on and what you have to put on hold. And maybe you'll be able to get around to it, but for the time being, you have to cover your basic necessities and not go out on a limb and go for broke on a couple of lavish things.
Okay, there you go. Got to watch your money, people. Basics only. We can't afford this. What are we talking about? $1.8 million, right? We cannot afford lavish things. Got to cover your basic necessities. You got to say to people who've raised $9 million in your community, put it back in your pocket, because we can't hold up our end. We can't scare up $9 million. Our share, which would be 1.8, because we've already put out 1.2. Okay? So what happens next, which I don't have on tape simply because it's too complicated, takes too long, is her questioning where would the money come from that would pay for that 1.8? And she said, REIT money? REIT money? When did we do that? Now, this is your assistant mayor who's using finance as the reason not to go forward, and she's not familiar with the fact that REIT money, real estate excise tax money, will be used. And how long ago have we been talking about that? Well, it's been in the budget for 2 years at this point. She's not familiar with it. Didn't know that's what we're doing. So here you go. You have your assistant mayor saying we got to watch our pennies and our dimes. Sometimes you have to put projects aside because of the money. I don't even know where the money's coming from. Well, you should have known for the last 2 years, Your Honor. It's been in the budget for 2 years. Really? Holly Cousins says, because I didn't know that. Really? You're the one that's talking about money too, and you didn't know that real estate excise tax money would be used for 5 years, coming in, piling up more than enough to cover the debt service on the bond. Okay? So that's the setup and where we're at. They don't even know where the money's coming from, but money is what they're worried about. All right? Now, Carmen Mendez steps in at this point because she's to answer the initial question of why are we talking about this now? And this is a couple minutes of some of the most amazing city council theater that you will hear. Please listen to this.
But in the spirit of being completely transparent, I think that it's important for me to say something that as to why we're having this discussion right now, because I think it's really important that we do that. Otherwise, we're not gonna go anywhere. In the past few weeks, we've been, as a city, trying to negotiate a few of the contracts that the city does have, one in particular. And we've been negotiating to see whether or not we, as a city, have the ability to be able to move forward with that contract. Unfortunately, because that hasn't been something that has gone the way that...
Point of order.
Point of order. She's about to explain why we're having this conversation at this time. And the first words you hear are, point of order. Who's that? That's Dulce Gutierrez, the assistant mayor, saying, whoa, whoa, whoa. You can't go here. And why is that? Because what she's about to say is that we are here today with Dulce wanting to kill the project because negotiations haven't gone well for Dulce trying to get a pool for the east side. What she's trying to say is this is payback. And if I can't get my negotiations to get a pool, well, I know where there's $1.8 million committed for a pool right now. Yeah. So the point is, we have to save money. No. We're going to spend that and more, and we're going to divert it from a Plaza project. I'm going right over Fox News. This is too important because this is the crux of this whole thing. We're going to redirect that money to East Side Pool. So Carmen's about to make that point, and Dulce uses parliamentary procedure to shut her down so she can't make that point. Keep listening.
Council members.
What's your point?
It is not germane to the discussion.
Oh, it absolutely is germane.
I'm afraid
because
it is.
No, I'd like to appeal that.
I'll appeal it. I would open it to the council as far as whether it is germane or not.
It is not germane to discuss other people's motivations.
I'm not discussing. Okay, go ahead.
It is not, I think, under the motivation. It is whether it's germane to why this project is in conflict with another project.
I think it is appropriate to say that there is another contract that's been under discussion.
Correct. I'm trying to make my point as to why we're discussing this right now and as to why it was put on the agenda. And I think it is the reason why we're having this particular discussion right now. And so I do think it's germane to this particular subject.
So she tries again.
When the negotiations didn't go the way they wanted, or we wanted.
Point of order.
Point of order.
Okay.
Stop. You can't do that. You can't say that when it didn't go without saying it my way. That's what you're trying to say without saying it. Point of order. You can't do that. And you've already got cover from K-Funk saying, hey, you got to leave people's motivations out of it. Really? I had 2 council members tell me that was the behind-the-scenes motivation here.
For the vote. You didn't ask for the vote when I appealed your statement.
I think it was, all right.
But she's continuing to talk on the same
I stopped.
No,
I have stopped. I've stopped. And I do apologize for my tone of voice.
I think it was corrected. It wasn't that she was talking on the motive. She was talking on the
Can we just call for the question to continue the conversation?
Call for the question. Does anyone understand the question?
The point of order?
Mm-hmm.
They don't even know where they're at right now.
What does yes and no mean on this vote?
I think the question is...
I'll make it easier. I'll get to my point. Councilmember Gutierrez brought
I called for the question.
You can't make your point.
The question is... I've forgotten it now.
whether or not my statement is germane to the conversation.
She's speaking of a different project right now.
Correct. Call for the question.
Yes. And my point of order was that...
Call for the question.
Councilmember White, yes or no?
What's this about?
No. What is yes and what is no?
Is her comments germane to the conversation that we're having?
No.
Councilmember?
No.
Yes.
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 It fails 4-3.
4-3. Same 4, White, Cousins, Funk, and Gutierrez, the same 4 that are aligned on being against the plaza in the first place. Now, this goes on a little bit more, but I'll spare you of that. Mayor Coffey talks about, what are we doing? This is out of control. I don't know. I don't get it. Because the problem is this. It is a frustrated assistant mayor that brings this forward to kill the plaza based on money. You heard it. Things we don't know about and money. You have to bite the bullet, do the basics, give up your lavish projects. What are we going to see tonight at the council meeting? Well, we're going to see a discussion about a contract to seek funds for the MLK Junior Swimming Pool. One option would be for to take money from the Parks and Recreation's Capital Fund, $100,000 budget. They would take 35% of that. That could impact programs such as the Lions Park Playground, Larson's Park Picnic Shelter. So we're going to cannibalize ourselves in order to generate money for a study, for a pool that no matter what it costs, automatically becomes a financial loser because pools are. They cost money, above $300,000 or more than what it takes to run them. And we're going to put the pool on the east side either in Dulce's district or right next to it, in a place where in the past when there was a pool there, city had to subsidize it 4 or 5 times more than pools anywhere else that got closed down. So we're going to put a pool in where it wasn't working in the past under the guise of saving money on the plaza by taking plaza money and more to build a pool that will then cost more money. So when the pollster says Americans want what they really want, respect is part of that. And to not have honesty, and I mean, if that's what you want, come out and say it. Don't tell me you're saving me my $9 million because you don't have the answers you haven't bothered to get. Don't tell me you've been surprised by stuff that's been on the books for 2 years because you haven't done your homework and you're leading the charge against this, and I'm supposed to trust that that's a fair procedure. And now we come to the finale, Lance Tormey. It's only about 2 more minutes. This is K-Funk on the night of killing the plaza with a vote.
From the beginning, the foundation upon which the project was built was unsound.
We only had the nation's expert in to tell us how to do this. But I'm glad that Dr. Funk knows that it's unsound. By what measure she knows that, I'm not sure. But it has worked all around the nation. Somehow, she knows.
And it always seemed to me that most unfortunately, the Plaza supporters did not make much effort to engage Plaza opponents. They were dismissive of their concerns and even regarded them as lesser people.
Lesser people. Wow. Now, where's she getting her information? I don't know how many meetings there were that the proponents and the opponents were together. But this is her personal take based on information she's been fed.
When I campaigned for office, I said...
I have to stop you right there. If we're not going to be having comments and pleasantries amongst our...
The mayor's saying, look, you wouldn't let Carmen speak to someone's motivations. How are you going to speak to the people who are against this motivations? It's like, let's be fair here, is what in essence she's saying.
We're not going to be throwing them out to
Excuse me.
our audience.
I would disagree, Mayor. I think that she's able to make a comment as much as you or anybody else.
We were told from the podium that it was shameful to discuss this, okay?
I don't know where...
Please proceed, Dr. Funk.
When I came...
What's Brad Hill doing conducting the meeting? I mean, please continue, Dr. Funk. Come on, Brad. That's not your role. It's not your role.
Campaign for this office, I said that if the Plaza supporters met their fundraising goal, then my understanding was that the Plaza would be cleared to go ahead, and I knew that many people would be unhappy either way, but it has turned out to be more complicated. We have a tight budget, and we have a challenge with the YMCA pool. In addition, the Plaza must overcome a threatened lawsuit, and the building contracts must be written to give the city strong protections from cost overruns. Plaza supporters have now asked to have homeless persons removed from the area, and that is not reasonable to ask. Early on, the city covered several costs, including a consultant study, questionnaires, design, engineering surveys. Then the project moved ahead as a private concern.
No, not really. It's a public-private partnership. Both sides have been working together through the whole process.
With Plaza supporters, building enthusiasm, and raising funds. 1 year ago, an ordinance was passed to define the condition of success as $9 million raised by December of 2017. That goal has been met. And now we are challenged with bringing the private project and the city co-management back together.
This is, will I vote to kill the plaza or won't I? Straight out, back in March.
This does not mean that the city is obligated to fulfill all of the expectations of the plaza supporters. The foundational problem of polarization of our city residents over this project continues and is still unfortunate. But I believe that abruptly terminating the project at this late date would be unfair to those who have invested time and money, and I am not in favor of that. If we can be stringent with controlling building costs, this may turn out to be affordable. It might turn out to be quite wonderful. I respect the hopes, generosity, and work of the Plaza supporters, but success will require that we pull together with mutual respect, and the project needs to fit within other challenges that our city faces.
Okay, so there you go. At this late in the game, back in March, it's too late to turn around. They've done their part. In fact, they weren't allowed to go after grants and state and federal money. Why? Because Dulce Gutierrez wanted that money available for other projects. So part of the agreement was to raise the money locally and not get outside money for this project, putting an extra burden on the fundraisers, which they met. And Dr. Funk says she respects the efforts, the energy, the time, and the money put in. And so at this time, it's not the right thing to do. We have a tight budget. We know that. We have other issues. We know that. We know that there's going to be cost overruns. We need to watch those. All right, all that was known in March. What happened just last month?
I would like to say that
This is a June 19th
Bruce Smith and the threat of the lawsuit had little to do to inform my decision here. I became very concerned about the threats to the city budget from
We already knew about the budget threats, right?
the operating costs for the plaza.
You don't have those in hand, and nor have you made efforts to round those up. They're out there. Other places run plazas now. You could find that information. But again, it takes a little work.
Concerns about our police needs and concerns about our infrastructure needs, bursting water pipes, etc.
Been there all along, even back in March.
Local agriculture from the tariff wars. That's why I want to delay before we make any further commitment to funding this project.
So in 3 months' time, she went from it's too late to turn back now. All things have been met. We just need to keep our eye on the ball to can't go forward. She's the swing vote, and she swung. Here's the thing. The people against it put it up for a vote. Why? Because in their mind, they believe that kills this project. And she voted to kill the project by voting to go with them, because that's the only reason they're agreeing to put it on the ballot in the first place. They're not looking forward to the community telling them what to do. They're looking forward to the community killing the project. That's what they're hoping for. They have said they were against it, and they're putting it up for a vote. And they're saying that money is the cause, because in Jason White's opinion, we're broke, and we're not. And in Holly Cousins' opinion, we don't have answers yet. But we've not asked those questions. We've not got that information. And some of the information that you don't know about, you've had for 2+ years. And according to the assistant mayor, we don't have the means to go after lavish projects. When she'll probably never be back, but when Dulce was here on our show and we asked her about, so you're going to get a kind of a basic pool then? Is that the plan? Oh, no, not a basic pool, right? Do you remember her saying that? How did she describe it? As a nice pool with big areas and family meetings and all this kind of stuff. Not a basic pool, a meeting spot for the community, right? So that will cost millions. And then it will cost hundreds of thousands each year more than it makes to operate. I'm not opposed to having a pool. I'm opposed to you peeing on my leg and telling me it's raining. Say what you mean. I want to kill the project so I can use that money somewhere else. Now, let me ask you, if we're going to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars a year to run a pool on the east side, what will the usership be of that pool? All we know is history, and history says it wasn't good before. What's the usership for a plaza that is a central location with splash play area, lazy river, farmers market, parking for seniors, built-in facilities for entertainment, and programmed to provide entertainment for a cross-section of the community on a weekly basis. Thousands and thousands of people to use that plaza to be a success, as opposed to a few hundred splashing at a pool, costing us money. I mean, that doesn't make sense. What we're being told doesn't make sense. So it can't be that, right? So I spent all this time on this to remind you of what we're dealing with. The point people are clueless or deceptive. Okay? Yeah. Jason's doing Bruce's bidding, and God bless him for trying, but it doesn't work too well when you talk out of turn about lawsuits and the city attorney has to smack you down, and then you talk about being broke and the mayor has to say that's an irresponsible thing to say when it's not true, and that guy's leading the charge for your community. You better stop right then and there and take another look at who's saying this and why. And then you've got the swing vote. You've got Dr. Kay Funk, who, despite her reservations back in March when this thing was first talked about being killed again, and why, from everything we can tell, with Carmen getting shut down, it was because of sour grapes over the pool thing not moving along fast enough. You've got Kay Funk saying, despite the reservations, we're too far along, too many good people, doing too much good. You've met your commitments. Your commitments were increased. You exceeded your commitments. Limitations were put on you where you could get that money. You still did it. And so she voted no on killing it flat out. And the plaza breathed a sigh of relief, and there was hope that games might be done, games might be over, and this thing could live or die on its own merits. It would go to court. The decision would be made. Every legal person that we could talk to said, look, this is standard stuff. This happens all the time. Well, Bruce is saying it's never been done before. Jason tried to say it was never done before, but he's not Bruce, so he couldn't say it as well. And the end result was, that's their opinion. Opinion versus opinion. Settle it in court. In fact, they'd already decided to move forward on it. In fact, one of the conversations they had was, at the start of the year, we had our strategic priorities conversation where in the end, we all signed off. We were going to move forward on our strategic priorities. Yeah. And then we sold them out with a vote to kill the plaza, and we sold them out with a vote to put the plaza on the ballot. So that's how well this council is working together and maintaining their integrity with each other. Mm-hmm. Then there's clearly a problem behind the scenes. Carmen Mendez says, look, we need some transparency here. Let's just tell you what the real deal is. Point of order, shut up. Look, bottom line, if you want to kill the plaza because you just don't like the idea, you don't think it'll raise money, then vote to kill it, Dr. Funk. Why did you vote to move it ahead only to throw it over to a vote which everybody who's against it says will kill it? Why do that? What has changed in 3 months? You still knew about the budget. You still knew about the YMCA challenges. You still knew about all of the financial issues. What changed? Why did you go from don't kill the plaza to essentially saying kill the plaza? You're the swing vote. You're the one that people are going to have to ask, why did you do it? What motivates this? And I'd like to know. So if you're out there, or friends of Dr. Funk is out there, I met her husband. He seemed like a real reasonable guy. I'd like to talk to him. I mean, anybody that would talk about this, I would like to hear why this happened the way it did.